Over 1.9 million bursary applications were received by NSFAS for the 2024 academic year. This was revealed by the Financial Schemes Board during an update to Parliament on various policy and operational matters. Some of the things on the agenda include the accommodation, which has been widely criticised. That particular process has been criticised. Let's now bring in NSFAS spokesperson Ishmael Mnisi, who's joining us in studio. I said that we're going to be speaking to you after 8 o'clock, but I think Ishmael is efficient to be here early. Thank you so much for making time for us.
My pleasure, Aldrin, and good morning to the viewers at home.
Let's speak about the applications that you received. 1.9 million bursary applications. Where do these 1.9 million, is it 9.9 million people or is it 1.9 million applications? Is there a difference at all?
There's no difference because each and every application is a beneficiary attached to it. So these are numbers, these are people. So for the bursary scheme, we have received about 1.9 million applications.
Yeah. And what's the age group of these people?
Well, we are currently processing that in terms of all those categories, Adrian, to look at the gender, the age groups, and even, we are going to an extent of working together with institutions. What courses are they actually, they be enrolled in doing? But currently, that process is underway. We are proceeding to, approve those applications. From the statistics that we gave last week, we will be giving new statistics of the bursaries this week, including of our loan scheme as well.
Yeah. How far are you with the processing of the bursaries before we get to the loans?
We are moving at a very fast speed now, given the fact that we are now using even the credit bureaus to help us to process these applications, and we are still using the SARS process because we're a bit delayed in the verification of the financial eligibility. Now that hurdle is behind us, and we are now moving to make sure that all the applications gets assessed so that students can be able to get their feedback.
Why is it taking you so long? Also considering that you have in some universities students sleeping in halls, some students don't have accommodation, they don't have food, because they're waiting for the money from NSFAS. As I
was saying, Aldrian, we were waiting for the students to upload their consent forms, those who have not done it, so that we then can comply with the requirements from SARS in order for us to determine the financial eligibility of the parents that applied for the students. So now that hurdle is behind us. Because we have complied with that requirement from SARS, and as I'm saying as well, we are using credit bureaus as well to help us to process the financial eligibility. We are well set in as far as the academic eligibility because we have received the results from institutions. It is only that hurdle which relates to the financial eligibility, which is a very, very critical component of the assessment, because if you don't do so, we'll end up giving the loan to wrong people or people who do not meet the requirements.
Yeah. But specifically speaking about the bursaries, before we get to the loans, because there are people that have applied for the bursaries and they received the green light, but the money hasn't been paid as yet.
No. We have made an upfront payment to institutions to cover all those applications, all those applicants that we have approved for funding. And we are also looking at doing another tranche allocations to our institutions so that they can cover all those NSFAS students who have been approved. So there is money that NSFAS has sent to institutions.
So would you say the problem is with the institutions? Have you done an assessment as yet?
Well, as we are saying, we are meeting with USAF tomorrow, which represent all our VCs. There's been a concern that there has not been a clear indication as to what that money must be used for. So the meeting that we are having tomorrow is to find our ways. Well, it's what we want to find out, because we have said it in our statements, we have said it in a communication that we have sent to them, that this money will be meant for tuition and also for accommodation, including the book allowances. So, but we are meeting them to clarify that point to say what is that tranche money meant for, because it has been dispersed by the 31st of January already, and we are looking at dispersing more to institutions to make sure that there is no student, NSFAS beneficiaries, who are not covered for them to begin the academic year. And recall again, Aldrian, we have made an arrangement for all NSFAS students not to pay even the registration fee, considering that NSFAS is making these tranche payments to institutions to cover all these other areas. So
who takes responsibility for this?
Both ourselves as NSFAS, we are taking responsibility of making sure that our students are covered, and the institutions as well.
But who's taking responsibility for the failure of the payments not being out?
Well, as we are saying, the payments were made on the 31st of January already, and to various institutions. And the failures for the understanding of what they were meant for is what we are trying to determine tomorrow as to what exactly could be the miscommunication between ourselves as NSFAS and the institutions.
Yeah. There's obviously interest that compounds from the money being deposited into the bank account of the institution. Whose interest is this? Who does this money go to? The interest that is accumulated from the money that was deposited into the bank account of the institution.
Well, the money deposited, it's meant for the students, firstly. Yeah. It's not meant to accrue interest.
The interest that accrues,
it is not meant to accrue interest, because immediately when it gets there, it must be used for what it's meant for.
But it's not.
You know?
But it's not, and that's the reason why you're going to be having this meeting.
Of course.
So the money would still accrue the interest. So who gets the interest?
Of course, for now, because of it's in the bank accounts of institutions, it means the institutions will accrue that interest. And these are some of the things that we are going to discuss with the institutions, because if money was appropriated for what it was meant for, we should not be sitting with some of the problems that we are faced with, to say that there are students who cannot be find accommodation because we have already made the appropriations. And also, as we are saying, we are now working towards the issues of the allowances with institutions. So as we are meeting them tomorrow, partly we are going to talk about the tranche that was allocated for accommodation, book allowance, and the registrations, and we are going to talk about requesting institutions to actually process the allowances that must go to the students.
Let's speak about the introduction of the new loan scheme, specifically for the missing middle. There was an issue that was raised as well around the assessment of, and you raised this point now earlier on as well, the assessment of whether the parents can afford, the affordability of the parents. How far are you with that particular process?
Well, we are working with credit bureaus, we are working with SARS to determine the financial eligibility of our parents, and we are making huge progress. And that's why the numbers trickles in, they change every day. Students can attest to the fact that they are now getting feedback from NSFAS, if whether they are funded or not, and that goes for both the bursary and the loan scheme.
Okay. And for the loan scheme, have you now worked out what the interest rate will be on the loan?
Not as yet. We are consulting with the department, and we are also going to bring on board our banking system, who we collectively will be working in as far as that is concerned. Currently, we are dealing with the 3.8 billion that has been injected by government through our SITAs and through the National Skills Fund to make sure that we kickstart the processes of the loan.
So does it mean that right now when I apply for the loan, I apply for the loan not knowing what the interest rate on that loan will be?
In terms of the terms and conditions that we'll be giving to the applicants, that information will be detailed there.
But I just asked as whether you guys have finalized what the interest rates on the loans would be, and you say that that's an ongoing conversation.
What I'm saying is that in terms of the terms and conditions that will be given to when the people sign the agreements, that interest will be there. So you'll be consenting to an interest that is already in
So does it mean
that
the interest rate is not the same?
It definitely will be the same.
So what is the interest rate?
I'm saying to you, Aldrian, the determination of the exact interest rate, it is what we will be finalizing with the department and the financial sector. Before people consent to the agreement itself, the interest rate issue will have been resolved. What we are working on now is the issues of the applications being made, because there, the terms and conditions are not there yet. People are making applications in a normal fashion that they would make applications for the bursary. Okay. And then when you sign an agreement, we'll then give you the terms and conditions. So at that time when that happens, all those issues relating to the interest rates will be there, the obligations of the parents, the obligations of the students, and our obligations will all be clarified there.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Ishmael Mnisi is the spokesperson for NSFAS.